Welcome to the Wife Stories YouTube channel. New video every day, and don't forget to subscribe. Here we go.
I don't regret it. She stands by the window, the city lights spilling across her bare shoulders, and her voice cuts the air like a blade. I'm watching her profile. Slim neck, arms wrapped around her torso, and I feel something crack inside my chest. Her body, the same body I used to explore in the darkness of our bedroom, now feels like it belongs to someone else. I used to know every inch of her, from the faint birthmark on her collarbone to the gentle curve of her hips. But as she says those 4 words, I realize nothing about her feels familiar anymore. It's like I'm seeing a stranger where my wife should be. She turns, the faint glow outlining her face. Her green eyes hold no trace of guilt. If anything, there's a spark of defiance there. I try to breathe, but my lungs clench. A bitter taste crawls up my throat. I can feel the corner of my eye twitch, a telltale sign of the anger I've been trying so hard to cage. Maybe I don't even know why I'm still here. I have no illusions left, no naive hope that it was all a misunderstanding. That gift box, the bracelet inside it, the inscription that burned into my mind. Thank you for everything, Marcus. Those details tore through every assumption I had about our marriage. She turns fully now, arms dropping, and I see more of her than I want to. Because I remember how those arms felt wrapped around me. I remember how that neck arched back when she whispered my name, how her voice trembled with laughter on Saturday mornings. But my memories are worthless. They belong to a time that died the moment I found out our boy wasn't mine. The moment I realized that the child I tucked into bed, read stories to, and cradled through fevers was fathered by another man. Marcus, the security guard at her building. Some big muscled guy with a wide white-toothed grin. I saw him once or twice, but we never spoke more than a casual hello. And now he's the father of the child I thought was mine. She studies me, eyes shifting across my face, maybe looking for a response, maybe expecting me to explode, to break a lamp or punch a hole in the wall. I can't even muster the energy to do that. My anger is huge, but it's turned inward, pressing on my rib cage, strangling the breath out of me. She must see my knuckles tighten though, because she takes a half step back. I close my eyes for a moment, remembering the way I confronted her at the office, smiling, hugging her colleagues, sarcastically thanking them for keeping the secret all this time. The color drained from her cheeks so fast I thought she might faint. But now there's no more charade of pretending I don't know. The lights are out, the illusions are gone, and the only thing left is the stale odor of betrayal lingering in the room. My body aches. It's an actual physical ache. A stabbing behind my sternum, a hollow pinch in the pit of my stomach. It's like my nerves can't decide if they want to shut down or spontaneously ignite. My hands tremble, so I press them into my pockets, forcing them still. You're not even sorry, I say. My voice is low, almost calm, but it doesn't sound like me. You don't regret anything. She lifts her chin. Her hair, once a warm russet she carefully highlighted, is disheveled, but she still looks strangely composed. I can't pretend I do, she murmurs. I needed more. I needed. She hesitates, then stands a bit straighter. I needed to feel wanted. I lean against the back of the couch, letting out a slow breath. Wanted, I echo. The word scrapes across my tongue. So that justifies lying to me for years. Passing off his child as mine. Letting me think. Letting me believe I was a father. Her eyes flick down, but only for an instant. John, she says quietly. I never planned for this. It started out as a mistake. Then it spiraled. And when I found out I was pregnant, she clamps her lips shut. I already know this story. I've run it through my head 100 times since the blood group test came back impossible. A swirl of rage, confusion, heartbreak. Then that slow, creeping realization that everything I'd thought was solid in my life was just smoke. I want to shout at her, but my voice comes out a whisper. You let me believe he was mine. She takes a step forward, reaching like she might touch my arm. then seems to think better of it. "You're a good man," she says, and something in her voice cracks. "You always were." I just stop. I lift my hand, palm out. "Don't talk to me like I'm one of your office clients you soothe with your marketing pitch. You're a good man, John. We all admire you, John. We're so glad you invest in us, John." My voice rises, but I clamp my teeth on that last syllable, forcing myself not to shout. I'm not going to give her the satisfaction. She crosses her arms over her chest. "I never meant for it to go this far," she says again. That same tired refrain. I stare at her body. Once my sanctuary, once the place I'd return to after a long day, the gentle warmth and softness that shielded me from the world. Now, with the city lights ghosting across her collarbone, I see a woman I barely recognize. She's speaking, but the words feel hollow, and my mind slips to the memory of that bracelet box, the neat little bow, the Father's Day greeting she gave me with trembling hands. She watched me open it, saw the confusion on my face. Then she tried to lie one more time. Some cheap excuse about a mislabeling or someone else's gift. But the name Marcus was there in plain script. I'd seen it. My chest tightens again, and I imagine a coffin inside me, something heavy and dark. Like I'm burying the love I used to hold for her. I wonder if that's why my voice trembles. "Were you with him tonight?" I ask, my tone sharpened to a point. She swallows, eyes shifting away. And that's enough. That tiny gesture kills the remnants of my restraint. I push myself upright, stepping toward her in the half-light. "Tell me," I insist, my voice dropping to a growl. Her shoulders tense, but her chin goes up. "Yes," she breathes. I was. Everything in me flares. I see her lips forming the syllable. A simple affirmation, but it feels like a gut punch. My temples pound, my blood roars in my ears, and yet somehow I keep my fists at my sides. I stand there, wanting to say something devastating, something that will brand her with the same agony I feel. But all I manage is a strangled laugh, bitter and ragged. The room seems darker now, as if her words sucked the light from every lamp and fixture. My breath rasps in my throat, and I recall the first time I suspected something was off. The day we got our son's blood test results, and the doctor politely pointed out that something didn't match up. I tried to rationalize it, told myself there must be a clerical error. But the nurse's sympathetic glance was enough to crack my denial. "I can smell him on you," I mutter, not even sure if it's true or if my mind is playing tricks. I step away, pace toward the window. The headlights from the street below dance on my shirt. God, I can't believe this is real. She stays silent, hugging herself. I remember her nails pressing into my back once upon a time, her breath hot against my neck. Now, in my mind, I see her with him. Marcus, that easy grin, those sculpted arms, the new father of her child. My child, or so I believed. A wave of nausea hits me, and I brace a hand on the window frame. "You made me a fool," I say, struggling to keep my voice steady. "For years." She exhales a trembling breath. "It happened during that rough patch when you were always at work," she begins, but I whip around, teeth bared. "Don't you dare pin this on me," I snarl. My fists clench. My voice is low but thick with venom. "I broke my back to keep this family going, to make sure we had a decent life. That doesn't give you the right to." I can't finish. Rage scorches my throat. She opens her mouth to protest, but I cut her off with a sharp wave of my hand. My body feels electrified, every muscle tensed. It's as if I'm one flicker away from either hitting something or collapsing. But I won't let myself lose control. I refuse to give her the spectacle. I turn away again, forcing a slow breath. An image of that day at her office surfaces, me smiling too widely at everyone, saying, "Thank you so much for your discretion. Folks, really appreciate how you didn't slip up even once." The hush that fell after my words was almost comical, like every phone rang silent at the same moment. I saw her face, pale as a sheet, and that gave me a twisted satisfaction. She was humiliated. She was caught. My hands still shake, so I press them to my sides. The back of my neck feels hot, and sweat beads at my temple. I want to say something, anything, but I choke on the words. My chest feels like an iron band is tightening around it. You want me to just accept this? I finally whisper. To keep silent and smile, like a good boy. Her eyes brim with tears, but she blinks them away before they can fall. I know I've lost you, she says. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I scoff, turning back to face her. No, you're not. You're just standing there telling me you don't regret it. My heart thunders. That's what kills me. Not even an apology. She hesitates, then whispers, I'm sorry for hurting you. But I'm not sorry for wanting to feel alive. The pain in my chest intensifies, a dagger twisted deeper. I let out a shaky exhale. My right hand moves to the inside pocket of my jacket, where, hours earlier, I slipped my passport after scrawling blue ink across the page that labeled her as my spouse. I remember the moment so clearly, the final petty flourish, crossing out wife, letting my pen chew through the paper. My voice in my head, let the document be honest, at least. There is no wife. Not anymore. She sees my movement, but I don't pull out the passport. Instead, I grip it through the fabric, as though it's a talisman that might anchor me. I can't look at you the same way, I say, my voice hoarse. Your face, your body, everything's tainted now. It's Marcus's territory, right? The man with the brand new Father's Day greeting. That stings her, I can tell. Her shoulders jerk as if I slapped her. She murmurs my name, but I just laugh under my breath. Don't say my name, I hiss. My stomach churns, and that physical pain surges again, like my bones are grinding each other. I rut my sternum, trying to ease the tightness. It's pointless. My mind conjures an image. Her pressed against him in some dark corner of that business center, maybe in a back room or his cramped security station. The thought makes my blood pound so loudly I can't hear anything else. I close my eyes. In that silence, I recall the times she'd come home late, the faint excuses about extra meetings or post-work drinks. How I used to brush off my suspicions because I trusted her. How I'd blame myself for overthinking. Maybe I was just a gullible idiot. The anger I feel is bigger than me, heavy as a tombstone. But no matter how furious I get, it doesn't change the fact that I can't undo what she did. The betrayal is done. She takes a slow step toward me. John, please, she says, voice softer now. Let's talk. Now you want to talk. I release a harsh, humorless chuckle. We talked plenty when you let me rub your feet at night, or when you nodded along while I told you about my day. But you never mentioned the part where you were sleeping with someone else. You never found the courage to bring that up. She says nothing. For a moment, the only sound is the faint hum of traffic outside and the pounding of my heart. I swallow against a dry throat. The last few hours replay in my mind. How I calmly walked into her reception area at work, exchanged greetings with her wide-eyed coworkers, gave them a big, affectionate grin. They looked terrified, like they were bracing for the meltdown that never came. And then, my voice so artificially warm, thanks for keeping her secret from me. You guys are real troopers. The quiet that followed was like stepping into a vacuum. No air, no words, just the weight of betrayal pressing down on every witness in that room. John, she tries again. About our son. The test was a shock. I was scared. I couldn't figure out how to tell you. My throat goes tight. Our son, I echo, voice cracking on the second word. You realize how insane that sounds. He's not mine. You made sure of that. Her eyes flick with pain, but she presses her lips together, swallowing the words she might have said. Maybe she'd like to claim that I'm still this father figure, the one who tucks him in at night. But she knows that this lie can't stand anymore. I grip the windowsill, pressing my nails into the paint. My reflection stares back at me in the glass, a man who looks older, broken. My short hair, slightly graying at the temples, catches the faint glow. I see the lines etched in my face, lines carved by heartbreak and sleepless nights. How many times? I ask softly, not sure if I want the answer. How many times did you meet him behind my back? She's silent long enough that I feel my stomach twist. Then she whispers, too many to count. The rage washes over me in a violent wave. My chest feels like it's exploding. Before I realize what I'm doing, my fist connects with the wooden edge of the window frame. Pain jolts up my arm, but it's almost a relief to feel something physical. My knuckles throb, and I wonder if I've split the skin. She flinches, eyes going round, but I don't even glance at her. I clutch my injured hand, breathing in ragged gulps. "John," she says, caution and concern creeping into her voice. "Let me. Don't touch me." I grit the words through my teeth. Slowly, I straighten, pressing the throbbing hand to my chest, as if it might slow the frantic beat of my heart. The anger's still there, but I hold it in, tight as wire. My next words come out with surprising clarity. "I gave you everything. We had a life together. And you threw it away for a man who could give you excitement, or being wanted, or whatever the hell you think is so important." She bows her head. The city lights catch the glimmer of moisture in her eyes, but whether those are tears of shame or regret, I can't tell. "I didn't want it to end like this," she whispers. I stare at her, physically hurting, chest on fire, my knuckles radiating heat. "It ended the moment you let him into your bed," I say, forcing each syllable. Silence. She looks away, and in that moment, I feel something new rising inside me. A cold sense of finality. Like I've crossed a threshold, and there's no going back. My love for her is a corpse laid out before me. I'm standing at its funeral, eulogizing what once was. The room feels stifling, so I walk past her, ignoring the way she steps aside quickly, as though afraid I'll lash out again. My steps carry me to the couch, where I sink down, feeling the cushions sink under my weight. The table lamp near me flickers slightly. I can smell her perfume in the air, something soft and floral that used to make me lean in for a kiss, but now only stokes my resentment. She lingers by the window, arms wrapped around herself. The tension is thicker than any I've felt in my life. My mind flicks again to that Father's Day gift, that cheap piece of jewelry with Marcus's name engraved. God, how did I not see the truth before? All the times she half smiled when we talked about having more kids. All the times she deflected a question about how the pregnancy was going in those early days. I rub my forehead. "Do you understand what you've done to me?" I ask quietly. She steps away from the window, moving closer to the soft glow of the lamp. The shadows accentuate the hollow look in her eyes, but I can't bring myself to pity her. "Yes," she murmurs. "I do. And you deserve better." Those words set my teeth on edge. I glare at her. "Don't you dare act noble. You didn't do this for my sake." She shakes her head, and the silence hangs there. Finally, she says, "I know. I won't ask you to stay with me, or to work this out. I know you can't." I look away, jaw clenched so tight it hurts. Maybe part of me wants her to get on her knees, to beg me not to leave, to show some desperate sign that she cares. But she just stands there, letting me marinate in the bitterness she's caused. I can't decide if that makes me hate her more or less. My hand throbs, so I flex my fingers. A smear of blood colors the skin near my knuckles, but the pain in my chest dwarfs it. My mind drifts again to the memory of her colleagues, how they parted like the Red Sea when I stepped into her workspace. The shock, the embarrassment etched on every face. I'd forced a smile, hugging one of the women I'd met at last year's holiday party, praising her for keeping the secret so well. It was a savage kind of performance, and I can't say I'm proud of it. But I needed them to feel the weight of what they'd done. They'd watched me play the fool, and none of them said a word. Slowly, I stand again. My legs feel stiff, as if I've aged 10 years in a single evening. She watches me, uncertain. My gaze flicks to her left hand, where the ring I gave her still glints. For a second, I want to tear it off her finger. But I don't. The ring is meaningless now. She tries to speak, but I silence her with a single look. My expression must be grave, because her mouth snaps shut. I move toward her, stopping a foot away, and she tenses. I can feel her breath hitch. "John," she breathes. I say nothing at first. Instead, I lift my good hand to her chin, tilting her face up so she has to meet my eyes. The lamp casts shadows across her features, and I see a flicker of fear there. Good. She should be afraid. For a moment, I consider kissing her, just to see if she tastes different now. Maybe I want to confirm that she's truly gone. But the thought of it makes me sick. I let go of her chin. She swallows hard, and her voice trembles. "What are you going to do?" I hold her gaze. "I already did it," I say quietly. "I crossed out wife in my passport." It's not official, but it's a start. A tear slips down her cheek. I feel no satisfaction in that. My stomach twists, and the heaviness in my chest grows. "I guess that's your answer, then," she whispers. "Did you expect me to stay?" My tone is edged with incredulity. She lifts a hand as if to touch me, but drops it again. "Part of me hoped," she murmurs. "I know it's impossible, but I still hoped." I let out a harsh exhale. My body trembles with so many conflicting emotions, anger, betrayal, heartbreak, that I feel I might tear apart. My voice, when it comes, is surprisingly even. "You killed everything," I say. "And the worst part is, I gave you the knife and trusted you with it." I brush past her, heading for the bedroom, or what used to be our bedroom, the place where her hair would splay across the pillows at night. Now it feels like a battleground of ghosts. Each step sends a jolt of pain through my bruised knuckles. I want to pack a bag, get out of this place forever, but my mind churns with 100 half-formed thoughts. I remember my son, her son, his son, sleeping in the other room. If I walk out now, do I abandon him too? The question hits me like a sledgehammer. The boy might not share my blood, but I've been there since the day he was born. I was the one who rocked him at 3 a.m., the one who taught him his first words. The idea of leaving him behind tears something raw in me. He's innocent in all this. He never asked to be part of her lies. I halt in the doorway, breathing hard. She's behind me, her shadow stretching across the floor. "John," she says softly. I can't turn to face her. My shoulders tremble as I try to find words. "Don't," I say finally, voice hoarse. "Don't say anything else." I reach for the bedroom door, but my hand lands heavily against the frame. The recollection of her body tangled with Marcus's hits me again. I see them in my mind, the sheen of sweat on their skin, the hush of breath in each other's ear, the same breath that used to belong to me. My guts feel like they're twisted in knots. A wave of nausea makes me swallow hard. At last, I step inside the room and close the door behind me. My heart is pounding so violently that my vision swims. I flick on a small lamp, scanning the place that once felt safe. Everything is the same, but it all seems lifeless. The dresser cluttered with photos, the hamper that's been half full of laundry for days, the bed with its rumpled sheets, sheets we used to share. I want to tear them apart, to shred every reminder of her. But a wave of pure exhaustion floods me. My mind is a storm. The memory of her new perfume, the faint click of her high heels on the foyer floor when she came home from work with that rosy flush in her cheeks, 1,000 small signs that I ignored because I was stupid enough to trust her. I sit on the edge of the bed, burying my face in my hands. My wounded knuckles sting, reminding me I'm still here, still breathing. The flicker of the lamp feels oppressive. The door behind me is closed, but I can sense her presence in the living room. She might be crying, or she might be texting him. Maybe she's calling Marcus, telling him I know everything, that she needs a place to crash if I throw her out. The thought churns my stomach. Closing my eyes, I try to steady my breathing. I think of the child asleep in his room. A child who shares none of my DNA, but whose laughter once lit up my world. If I walk away, do I lose him forever? Does he deserve to lose me, or me to lose him? My fists clench again. None of this is fair. Slowly, I force myself to stand. My limbs feel heavier than lead. I cross to the closet, yank out a small duffel bag. My intention is to pack, but my movements are jerky, uncoordinated. I toss in clothes at random, not caring if I'm grabbing socks or shirts. I just know I can't stay in this apartment tonight. Not with her. The swirl in my head intensifies. My chest tightens, and I have to brace a hand on the dresser to keep from toppling. I hear her faint voice from the other side of the door, calling my name, but I don't respond. Instead, I close my eyes, the memory of that damned Father's Day present rushing to the forefront of my mind. The tension in the living room when I opened the box, the neat bow, the shining silver, and that name etched on the underside. Thank you for everything, Marcus. Everything. That's what he wrote, as if my wife, my home, my child were all part of his everything. I feel my teeth grind until my jaw aches. The Father's Day gift wasn't even for me. It was for him, and she must have confused the packages or done something equally careless. That's how I discovered the truth. My hands start shaking again. If I had a gun, I might have done something irreversible, but I don't keep weapons around. Probably for the best. I yank the zipper on my duffel bag, feeling tears of sheer frustration pricking the corners of my eyes. I refuse to let them fall. I'm a grown man, almost 40. I've faced financial crises, career setbacks, the death of friends, but nothing prepared me for this brand of betrayal. My heart isn't just broken, it's shredded beyond recognition. My phone buzzes on the nightstand, startling me. I glance at the screen and see a text from a coworker. "You okay, man? Haven't heard from you." I let it go unanswered. How could I possibly explain what's happening? I sling the duffel bag over my shoulder and move toward the door. My plan is to walk out, maybe get a hotel for the night or sleep in my car if I have to. But a flash of guilt seizes me. I can't just leave the kid alone with her. He's innocent in this war. I step back, dropping the bag at my feet, and press a hand to my forehead. My pulse hammers. She knocks softly on the door. "John, can we talk?" About him. At least, he's been asking where you are. My throat tightens. Damn it. I can't stand the idea of him wondering why I'm not tucking him in. And then an even uglier thought slithers in. The only father he's known is me. If I vanish, does he go to Marcus eventually? Does he call that man Dad? I open the door a crack, meeting her anxious gaze. Her face is pale, her eyes bloodshot. There's a red mark on her cheek where she might have scratched herself or pressed too hard. For a moment, I see the woman I used to love, the woman I married. Then I remember her whisper. I don't regret it. I push the door open the rest of the way, forcing myself to keep my voice steady. "I'll talk to him," I say. "Then I'm leaving." She nods, stepping aside. The hallway is dimly lit. The door to his room is down on the left, slightly ajar, a soft glow from his nightlight spilling out. My son, no, not my son, but still the boy I've raised, must be in bed. My chest twists painfully as I move toward that door, each step heavier than the last. Inside, the small lamp shaped like a rocket projects gentle stars onto the ceiling. He's curled under the covers, his little hand clutching a stuffed dinosaur. At the sound of the door, he stirs, blinking sleepily. He spots me and sits up, confusion etched on his small face. He's only a toddler, but he's old enough to sense tension in the air. "Daddy?" he mumbles, rubbing his eyes. The word daddy shreds what's left of my composure. Heat burns behind my eyes, but I manage to force a smile and kneel by his bed. "Hey, buddy," I whisper, my voice unsteady. I smooth a hand over his soft hair. The same hair I once thought was a mix of my genes and hers. Mommy was mad, he says, glancing past me, as if expecting her to appear. I swallow hard. She's just upset. It's grown-up stuff. His eyes flick to my bruised knuckles, and I curl my fingers into a loose fist, trying to hide the damage. Are you okay? He asks, a slight quiver in his voice. My heart feels like it's splitting in two. I'll be fine, I say gently. Listen, I'm gonna go away for a little while. But I'll still see you, okay? You and we're gonna be fine. Tears threaten to choke me. I want to hold him, but I'm afraid I'll break down. Instead, I pat his blanket-covered shoulder. Get some sleep. We'll talk more later. He frowns, tiny brow furrowing with confusion. But he always read me a story. A lump forms in my throat. Despite everything, I can't deny him this. So I pick up the nearest book from his nightstand. Some bright children's picture book. My voice is shaky, and I keep clearing my throat, but I manage to read the silly tale of a lost puppy finding its way home. He listens, half drifting, half concerned. By the time I reach the end, his eyelids are drooping again, and he murmurs a faint "good night, Daddy," before slipping into slumber. I sit there for a moment, looking at him, tears burning my eyes. Is this goodbye? Or do I keep him in my life? Even if that means tolerating her presence, neither option is fair. He's the only innocent party, and yet he's caught in the crossfire of her lies. Gently, I lean forward and press a kiss to his forehead, my vision blurred with unshed tears. Outside in the hallway, she waits, watching me with parted lips. I ignore her and head for the living room, where I left my duffel bag. The overhead light glares down on me, as if illuminating my misery for the whole world to see. I grab the bag and stride toward the door, the weight of heartbreak trailing after me. John, she says quietly, following me. Where will you go? I pause at the threshold, my hand on the doorknob. My chest is so tight, I can barely breathe. I manage to look at her one last time. Does it matter? I murmur. Her eyes fill with tears, but she doesn't speak. I twist the knob, step into the hallway, and let the apartment door click shut behind me. Standing alone in the dim corridor, I lean my forehead against the wall, struggling not to yell out in raw agony. That wave of physical hurt washes over me again. My chest aches, my injured hand throbs, my stomach churns. It's as if my body is punishing me for holding everything inside. I push off the wall and make my way to the elevator. Each step echoes in the silent hallway. My reflection in the polished metal doors reveals a defeated man with red-rimmed eyes and dried blood on his knuckles. The elevator dings and opens, inviting me into its dull, fluorescent-lit compartment. I step inside, pressing the button for the ground floor. My mind flicks to Marcus, the man who overshadowed me in her life. I wonder where he is now. Maybe he's at some late-night gym, or out grabbing a beer with friends. Or maybe he's lying in bed, scrolling through his phone, waiting for a text from her, oblivious to the wreckage he's helped create. My jaw sets. A part of me wants to find him, to confront him, to hammer my fists into his smug face until he can't see straight. But deep down, I know it wouldn't change anything. She made her choice. Violence against him won't rewrite the past. The humiliation is already carved into my bones. When the elevator settles on the ground floor, I step out into the cool night air. It's well past midnight, the streets quieter than usual. The lights of passing cars gleam, and the distant hum of traffic seeps into my ears. The exhaustion hits me like a wave, but I can't go back. Not tonight. Maybe never. I roam the streets for a while, aimless, letting the chill wind cut through my jacket. My battered hand stings, but I welcome the pain. It's almost a reminder that I'm still alive, still capable of feeling. Eventually, I wander into a 24-hour diner, slide into a booth, and drop my duffel next to me. The fluorescent lights buzz overhead, reflecting off the laminated menus. It smells like burnt coffee and fried eggs, but it's as good a refuge as any. A tired-looking waitress ambles over, sets a glass of water on the table. "Rough night?" she asks kindly. I don't answer. I just nod, rub my throbbing hand. Maybe she notices the blood, but she doesn't ask. I order black coffee, no sugar. Something about the bitterness feels right. When she leaves, I stare at my reflection in the window, seeing the swirl of neon from the diner sign. I wonder how it came to this. Less than a week ago, I was a father, a husband, a successful consultant with a stable life. Now I'm a broken man nursing a shattered heart, my illusions about marriage and trust lying in ruins. After a few minutes, the coffee arrives, scalding hot. I wrap my hands around the mug, letting the heat seep into my bones. The manager in me tries to think logically. What's my next step? Do I file for divorce immediately? Do I sue for custody? But then I remember. I have no biological claim to the boy. He's not mine. That fact alone is enough to make me want to scream. I sip the coffee, face contorted in pain, both physical and emotional. My ribs ache with each breath, as though the heartbreak's lodged inside my chest, like a splinter. The hiss of the grill from the kitchen behind me feels distant, like it's happening on another planet. A few patrons glance my way, but they return to their meals, uninterested in the man unraveling in the corner booth. My phone buzzes once more. I expect another worried text, but no. It's a message from her. 2 lines. "I know you hate me, but if you want to see him, let me know. I won't stop you. I promise." My eyes burn. The thought of that child, my child, in every sense but blood, tears me apart. Will he grow up calling another man dad? Will that man stand in front of the bathroom mirror one day, teaching him how to knot a tie or shave the faint hairs on his chin? Every fatherly moment I imagined sharing is now stolen by a stranger who waltzed into my wife's arms and claimed my place. The injustice of it stings like salt in an open wound. I clutch my phone, fighting the urge to smash it on the table. Instead, I force out a trembling breath. My father once told me, "Son, when life kicks you in the teeth, you either stand or stay down." I used to think that was good advice. Now, I'm not sure. Life didn't just kick me, it gutted me from the inside. And I can't figure out if I have the strength to stand again. Slowly, I type back a reply, my fingers shaking over the keys. I'm not sure what to say. Part of me wants to lash out, to say something hateful. Another part wants to stay silent forever. In the end, I write, "Don't text me again tonight." And I hit send. Leaning back, I stare at the ceiling. The diner's harsh lights reflect off the silver napkin holder, the battered jukebox in the corner, the sticky countertop near the kitchen pass. Everything seems oddly vivid, as if heartbreak sharpened my senses. I notice the subtle tear in the seat cushion across from me, the scuff marks on the tiles, the bored expression on the cook's face behind the pass window. This is the world, carrying on around me, indifferent to my meltdown. My eyes drift shut for a moment. I see my wife's face, her parted lips, her green eyes. Then I imagine Marcus behind her, his arms looped around her waist. She's half naked, breath hitching with want, and it's not me she's whispering to. The image sears my brain, fueling another surge of fury and heartbreak. My hand clenches around the coffee mug so hard I'm afraid I'll crack it. At some point, the waitress returns, topping off my cup with more black coffee. She eyes me with concern, but doesn't say anything. I force a nod of thanks. The bitterness on my tongue intensifies. My mind is too crowded with thoughts. Rage, sadness, frustration, helplessness. I keep circling around that question. Do I walk away from him, the boy I've called my son, or do I stay involved somehow? Forcing myself to interact with the woman who betrayed me, I swallow more coffee. It scalds my throat, bringing tears to my eyes. Good. I deserve the burn. If I can't fling my wrath at them, at least I can punish myself with some small pain. The lamp overhead flickers, and I briefly recall a time when I told her jokes while we sipped coffee in a place like this. She used to laugh, a bright, genuine sound that warmed me. Now I doubt I'll ever hear that laugh again without feeling sick. Eventually, I realize I can't sit here forever, stewing in rancid memories. I glance at the time. Nearly 2 in the morning. My mind replays the child's sleepy face, how he said, "Daddy," with confusion. The thought stabs at me anew. A wave of numbness follows, flooding my limbs. I toss some bills on the table, ignoring whether it's too big a tip or not enough, and gather my duffel. Outside, the cold air slaps me again, rousing me from a half-daze. The street is deserted, just the faint hum of distant cars, the neon signs flickering in windows of closed shops. I look up at the Chicago skyline. A memory surfaces of the day we moved here from Seattle, my excitement at the new opportunity, her vow to support me no matter what. "We'll make it work," she said brightly. A hollow laugh escapes my lips. She made it work, all right, just not in the way I expected. My footsteps echo on the sidewalk as I make my way to a cheap motel a few blocks down. It's the kind of place that rents rooms by the week or even by the hour, if you don't ask questions. But tonight, it's my sanctuary. The fluorescent sign buzzes overhead, the VACANCE flickering. I step into the small lobby, talk to the board clerk behind bulletproof glass, and hand over my credit card. His eyes flick to my bruised hand. He doesn't comment. A minute later, I have a key card and directions to a room at the end of the hall. Inside, the room is stale, with an old musty smell that reminds me of wet carpet and cheap disinfectant. I set my duffel on the floor and collapse onto the bed. The mattress creaks in protest. A single lamp casts a weak glow, leaving corners in shadow. I lie there, fully clothed, staring at the water stain on the ceiling. My body is trembling in small, irregular tremors. I focus on my breath, trying to quell the storm in my chest. Revenge. The word creeps into my mind. Part of me yearns to exact retribution on her, on him, on everyone who knew. But how? By telling the world she's a cheater. By showing up at his workplace, fists ready, a string of curses on my tongue. The truth is, no act of revenge will take away the images that haunt me. I can't unsee her betrayal, or the knowledge that I raised another man's child as my own. My phone pings. Another text. Against my better judgment, I check it. "I'm sorry," she writes, or tries to. The words are jumbled, misspelled, like she's crying or shaking, or drunk on regret. But I can't find it in me to respond. I toss the phone aside. My anger roars. She had the audacity to say she doesn't regret it. And now she's sending me half-baked apologies. A savage laughter bubbles up in my throat, but it dies quickly. I sink deeper into the mattress, my eyelids heavy. Sleep is the only escape I can see, yet even as darkness creeps in, the pain remains. I drift in and out of half-consciousness, images swirling. Her body arching under someone else's hands, that Father's Day bracelet with the damning inscription, my child's questioning eyes. At some point, dawnlight seeps through the thin curtains, rousing me. My back aches and my hand burns. I push myself up, blinking. For a moment, I can't place where I am. Then it hits me, and I nearly buckle under the weight of memory. She cheated, the child isn't mine, and I'm holed up in a dingy motel. I stand, run a hand through my hair, and catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror above the dresser. My reflection is a ghost. Eyes puffy, complexion sallow, the lines around my mouth deeper than ever. So this is what heartbreak looks like. I mutter. I peel off my jacket, wincing at the stiffness in my shoulder. My fist still aches, the skin cracked and discolored. I wonder if I should see a doctor. Not that I care much. Pain is pain, and I've got plenty. In the stale motel bathroom, I wash my face, the cold water jolting me awake. My phone shows no missed calls, just that unread text from her. I don't bother opening it. She can drown in her own regrets for all I care. But as soon as that thought crosses my mind, an image of the child reappears, guilt following swiftly after. This war isn't just between me and her. He's caught in the crossfire. Grinding my teeth, I stomp back into the main room, rummaging in my bag for clean clothes. Everything is wrinkled and mismatched. I throw on a fresh shirt, ignoring the reek of old cigarettes in the carpeting. Maybe I'll search for a better place later. Right now, I need air. The clerk barely glances at me when I pass by the front desk. Outside, the sun is rising over the city, streaking the sky with pale orange. People on their way to work hurry past, some sipping coffee, some glued to their phones. I take a deep breath, ignoring the pang in my chest. She's probably at home, or maybe at work, or possibly with him. The boy is probably still asleep, or maybe she's taken him to daycare. My mind churns, stuck on the same loop. Betrayal, rage, heartbreak, regret. "Hey, man, you good?" A stranger asks, noticing my bandaged hand, the haggard expression. I wave him off without replying. I have no desire to talk to anyone. I keep walking, letting my feet carry me toward the lakefront. There's something calming about water, about the horizon stretching out endlessly. Once upon a time, she and I walked these paths together, hand in hand. I wonder if she's ever strolled here with Marcus. The question makes me want to put my fist through a wall again. Eventually, I reach a quiet stretch by the shoreline, where a few joggers pass by with headphones. I find a bench and sink onto it, staring at the waves. My breathing steadies, and for a moment, I let the rhythms of the lake soothe me. In the distance, gulls cry, the city skyline rising behind them. This place used to give me peace. Now, all I can think about is how everything changed overnight. Minutes or hours pass. I can't tell. At some point, my phone rings. I glance at it, see it's my coworker, probably worried about the project we're in the middle of. I let it ring out. Then I see the date blinking on my lock screen, and a pang of realization hits me. I have a flight next week for a work conference in New York. I'll have to go, or I'll risk derailing my career on top of everything else. With a heavy sigh, I rub my face, then check my text messages. A new one from her. "I'm taking him to my mother's for a few days. If you want to see him, let me know. I told him you love him." My heart twinges. I type a curt reply. "Fine. Thanks," then send it before I can rethink. My chest hurts. The idea of not seeing the child for days rattles me. But maybe it's better to have some space right now, because if I see him, I'll be reminded of my paternal love for a boy who isn't really mine. The confusion alone could drive me insane. I turn my phone off, slip it into my pocket, and stare out at the lake. The wind ruffles my hair, carrying a faint smell of water and distant fish. My father's old words echo in my mind again, about standing after life kicks you down. Right now, I don't feel like standing, but maybe I'll find a reason eventually. Maybe I'll find a way to endure this pain, transform it into something else. Resolve, acceptance, or even a new start. For now, though, the ache is raw, pulsing with every breath. I feel the coffin of my love, heavy in my chest, reminding me I'm alive and bleeding. I wonder if the quiet can mend me, or if the heartbreak's going to be a scar I carry forever. I exhale, lean back on the bench, and shut my eyes. Behind the darkness of my eyelids, I see her again, whispering, "I don't regret it." And so I let the memory play over and over, until it dulls around the edges. My mouth twists into something that might be a smile or a grimace, because she'll live with her choices, and I'll live with mine. And silence, in its own brutal way, might be the loudest retribution of all.